Hey everybody, welcome to sunny North London, slightly rainy and overcast North London. I've got a quick story to tell you. I was on the tube yesterday, going home, and the guy sitting opposite me was reading an amazing book, a book I really love. It's called Linchpin by Seth Godin, and I'll link it down the bottom. And the idea of Linchpin is that you can learn to become a linchpin in the job you're already in. So it's really designed for people who have a dream to create something more, to be more, and it's about how to start from where you are and make yourself as valuable as possible in work. And I couldn't resist it. I just had to start talking to this guy about Linchpin between Tottenham Court Road and Warren Street, and we had a mini coaching session, which then turned into another coaching session because the guy sitting next to us wanted to know what the book was. So I spent a little bit of time with both of these guys talking about how I used the book when I was at work. And the way I used it was very simple. I was teaching and I was working in a school where they were offering some coach training. So I took up the coach training. I got paid to be a teaching and learning coach, and then when I left that job, I was able to take those skills with me and create my own educational consultancy with the skills that I'd learned. I also started writing, creating a website, a free resource for teachers during that period of time, and I became known within the school environment as the person to go to if you wanted some help or support with behaviour management, for example. The second guy I spoke to was really interesting. He was talking about not enjoying his job, and one of the interesting things about him was that he described himself as a creative person. He wanted to write, he wanted to draw, but he was doing an office job that he needed to do, but he just felt didn't really interest him. It's not something he wanted to do long term. And he couldn't see how he could create a bridge, if you like, between the creative, the right side of his brain, I think you can point to the right side of his brain, which is about creativity, and the left side of his brain, which is about doing kind of repetitive tasks, and it works logically. And so I then started talking about the second book, which I'm going to link below, which is James Altucher's book, and it's called Choose Yourself. There's two versions of this. There's Choose Yourself and the Choose Yourself Guide to Business. And James has a really, really interesting technique that he uses. He calls it building the idea muscle. So his theory is that you have to think of your creativity like a muscle, and you have to work on it every single day. And the way he asks you to do that is by coming up with 10 creative ideas a day. Now, why would you write down 10 creative ideas a day? Well, the theory is you then become an idea machine. So for example, let's say if you do it over 6 months, the first few months your ideas aren't going to be particularly good. Now, they could be creative ideas for business, they could be creative ideas for books you want to write, articles you want to write, anything really, as long as you are working your idea muscle kind of every single day. Then he talks about putting those ideas together. So at some point he calls it idea sex, and then he talks about giving those ideas away to people. And it seems a little bit counterintuitive when you first come across this idea, but when I tried it, actually I was running my consultancy at the time, I started to understand how important it was to bring the right side of my brain into business, because it just made me more creative. And actually, when I look back over how I got the business that I got and made the contacts that I made, it was while I was going through this process. So this video really is a message for anybody who's unhappy in their job, for anybody who's thinking about starting something else. There are two quotes that I used quite a lot yesterday. One is the way out is through, and the other one is the obstacle is the way. Now, the second one really refers to Stoicism. Almost all of us, when we're starting something new, are in the thing we were doing beforehand that we can't necessarily break free of for whatever reason. Most of us are working full-time jobs while we're starting the next thing. And as I was saying yesterday to the second guy, you are in the perfect place, because if you can learn to make the obstacle the way. If you can learn to turn the thing that you don't particularly like doing, and you find the things that you really want to do and find ways to express those in the other job, then you become extremely valuable, and you've moved yourself much further along the way towards creating what it is you actually want.